The moment that Microsoft during their summer showcase said that they would focus on the games that are planned for the next 12 months, my expectations shifted. Many titles like Hellblade 2, Avowed, Fable, Perfect Dark did not show up, even though they were announced 2 years back. Now on the other hand, the next 12 months look like a ton of fun, with some nice big titles from Bethesda, some indies I did not have on my radar yet, and yes, of course, most games will be on Game Pass day 1. In this video, I want to go over pretty huge new game announcements, the biggest reveals, and the coolest looking trailers from the Xbox and Bethesda showcase, with many titles, by the way, coming to PlayStation as well. Of course, if you are excited for the future of games, then leaving a like on the video would really show your support. Subscribe for more gaming news and reveal roundups, and let's go. Let's start with Flintlock, The Siege of Dawn, which looks like a nice step up from the previous game they did, Ashen. I was personally not really a fan of the art style from that Souls-like title, but I do really dig the world they're creating here with Flintlock. It looks like we will go through deserts, caves, woods, and towns in a linear fashion, but the game should actually be open world, which sounds more appealing to me. We will be fighting the army of the dead that escaped because the door to the afterlife has opened up, and they also brought some powerful looking bosses with them as well. But we also saw creatures to take out with our axe and sidearm, but the highlight might actually be our companion, who can also help us during combat from the looks of it, and we can also use this creature to traverse the world. Hopefully, we can pet it as well, but no info on that yet. The only downside I'm seeing now is the release window. I really hope I can find the time to check this out in early 2023, next to the many other titles that are planned for this period. It's coming to current and next-gen PlayStation and Xbox platforms, just like PC, and yes, it will be day 1 on Game Pass. You will hear that often, by the way, in this video, as that's of course the biggest selling point of a Microsoft press conference. Most, if not all games, can be played with that $10 subscription, including Redfall. And damn, that was a nice way to open this show. Finally some gameplay to look at after the pretty cool cinematic last year, although after watching that I thought Redfall would be way more colorful. But no, it seems like they're really trying to lean more into the horror apocalypse. They started with some footage of one of the characters, Layla, infiltrating a creepy church inhabited by vampires that have overall taken over the town of Redfall. We will also be encountering a lot of human enemies though, cultists it seems. And while you should be able to play the whole game solo, you can also team up with up to 4 players. They also briefly showed the 4 classes in action, all with their own abilities, like we have an invisible sniper. I really like the robot dog. Overall, pets in games are of course awesome. But the ability from Layla to summon a purple trampoline for other players to use is pretty awesome too. And you can, by the way, have 4 of the same characters run around in one team if you want. So overall, it's a lot like Borderlands, which also became clear when they quickly showed the skill tree and the rarity for loot we can find. I also would not be surprised if they turned off the damage numbers for this demo, and that we can switch that on if we want. But the big difference seems to be that you can also go in stealth and really treat this more as a tactical shooter. It's also open world. We saw an abandoned theme park we can explore, but next to that also dungeons from the looks of it that gave a nice like upside down vibe to the world. Really hyped for this. I will dive more into the game and extra details in a future video. It's coming to PC and Xbox in early 2023. We also learned that Persona is coming to Xbox, with Persona 5 Royal already dropping on Game Pass on October 21st, 2022. So yes, that is Persona 5, including the extra content and some quality of life improvements, with Persona 4 Golden and Persona 3 Portable coming later. And Atlas also confirmed that these games will head to Steam and PlayStation 5. As you may have already seen, Kojima also showed up to reveal that he's working on a completely new game with Xbox, one that no one has ever experienced or seen before, and is using the Xbox Cloud's technology to work on this brand new concept. But yeah, he had nothing to show for it yet, which was kind of a bummer. Just words for now. Seems like it's also still far away, but it could of course be interesting. And I'm also not sure if this is the Overdose game that got leaked starring Margaret, the Death Stranding actor behind Mama. That game seemed to be a horror title, by the way. And Kojima showing up here doesn't mean that he stopped working with PlayStation, by the way. They're still doing things together as well. But yeah, a trailer at the Xbox show would have been nice. Overall, Xbox is pushing for more Japanese content. They namely also announced Wolong Fallen Dynasty, a new game from Team Ninja, the people behind Neo, and you immediately see that in the trailer. It takes place in a dark fantasy version of the Chinese history Han Dynasty, where demons plague the three kingdoms, and we have a nameless soldier, he has no name, that needs to survive by fighting off the deadly creatures. This could only be a spiritual successor to Neo, but from the text that I read, it seems to be more focused on raw skill and technique rather than upgrades and gear. But I might be wrong about that. We just don't know a lot yet, although I do like the key art they showed. This is also coming to current and next-gen PlayStation and Xbox consoles, PC via Steam and the Microsoft Store, and yes, it's also Game Pass day one in that totally not crowded early 2023 window. A Plague Tale Requiem got another very cool showing, and not only the diverse looking environments stood out this time, but also the fact that we have way more combat options. Hugo, our brother, seems to be against the killing, but in the trailer we see how Amicia is tired of being afraid and takes out the many soldiers in very brutal, but also cool looking ways. And seems like this plays a role in the story too, as she tries to figure out why she's going down this darker path. Only the release date was missing at the Xbox show, but we will actually see that on June 23rd in another new trailer. Should still be coming this year, Game Pass day one, but it's also coming to PC, PS5 and the Switch via the cloud. We also briefly saw Hollow Knight Silksong after a long time. It looked really cool. It's also coming to Game Pass day one, but still no official date, although Xbox did hint that it's going to be in the next 12 months. Just like both Blizzard titles. And while the Activision Blizzard acquisition is not complete yet, it should happen between now and July 2023, we already got a taste of what it might look like, because the biggest Blizzard games were part of this Xbox show. For Overwatch 2, they announced Junker Queen, a new tank hero, but the bigger news is that the PvP variant with the 5v5 teams, the new and reworked heroes, new maps and modes, will go in early access on October 4th, 2022. And also it's going free to play, so I think the co-op part will still be paid, but the PvP will be free. And there's an extra live stream happening on June 16th that will reveal more about the post-launch plans and how things are going to work. So yeah, that's totally sooner than expected, but I was more surprised by Diablo 4 that is also planned for the next 12 months. Although, looking at the big trailer, it could make sense, because we did not only get the Necromancer reveal, the 5th and final class for the game, but we also got a new look at the open world approach, how there are little events that can happen, there are stronghold areas you have to take over, which then turn into an allied zone with maybe a new dungeon. There are almost 150 dungeons in the game, it has a big end game, there's PvP. There's really a lot, but we gotta talk about the elephant in the room, Diablo Immortal, that right now has the lowest user Metacritic score ever because of the monetization. The devs did confirm though that for Diablo 4 there's a lot of free content coming post-launch, and the paid content is built around optional cosmetic items and eventually full expansions. So, hope they keep their word on that. So before I touch on Starfield, I want to highlight some other cool games that are on my radar right now. One is called High on Life, from the creators of Rick and Morty, with yes, talking weapons. They are needed to defend Earth from an alien invasion. They namely want to use the humans to make drugs, which doesn't sound good. So these weapons have their own unique personalities and attributes, and we can collect many of them throughout the game. It's only coming to PC, Xbox One and Xbox Series, Game Pass day one this October. We also got the fast-paced stealth platformer Ereban Shadow Legacy, where you can turn into a shadow to move freely, climb walls, reach inaccessible areas, and also surprise enemies. Really giving me infamous Second Son vibes. There should be more lethal but also non-lethal powers, and we also have high-tech gadgets we can craft to outsmart the robots. Overall, it's about uncovering the truth about our past and then trying to save the universe. Okay, I think it looks cool. First half of 2023. Just like Starfield, so maybe weird to say, but if I could choose one, I would go for Redfall right now. Although, of course, Starfield, I'm still looking forward to it, and that will, of course, be the more impactful game overall. Yes, it also looks massive. Seems like they improved the combat quite a bit versus previous Bethesda titles, although it's of course still nothing compared to a real first-person shooter. It kinda reminded me of Cyberpunk, which is fine, but I think the universe and exploration is where this game will shine the most. We saw a lot of cool settlements that looked very intriguing. I liked some of the wildlife they showed as well, and encounters we will have with these enemies. And there's of course a lot of depth in the character customization, with background as well. We can make our own spaceship and fly it. I'm not a huge fan of space combat. It did not look like amazing or anything. Serviceable. I'm also not a big fan of the base building, but yeah, it's great for people that do like that. There just seems to be a ton going on here. Like, if they just release a polished product and don't overpromise from now till launch, I think it can be a really fun game. And them delaying the title already, which is not common for Bethesda games, is a good thing. So I hope they can deliver. They also confirmed, by the way, that the game will have a silent protagonist. I wasn't a fan of the 1000 planet thing though, that should be in the game. Todd talked about this as if it was like a cool feature, but I would rather have 50 cool and exciting planets than a few cool ones and 989 boring ones. But we will have to wait and see. Want to totally dive deeper into Starfield in a future video, and we will totally be covering the game here on the channel as well. So subscribe to be up to date on that. And of course, for more of these news and reveal roundup videos. Summer Game Fest is still going on, and I will keep you posted regarding the biggest announcements. A like on the video would of course really help me out. And check out my previous video on the kickoff show and the best things we saw there. For now though, I will speak to you soon. Goodbye.